Your avoidant ex dumped you, and right now they're waiting for something very specific from you. They're waiting for you to do the one thing that confirms their entire worldview. They're waiting for you to chase because chasing means that you still need them. Chasing means that they still matter. Chasing means that you see them as being more important than you see yourself. But here's what most people don't realize. By going into no contact and not chasing, you're doing the exact thing that they don't expect. In fact, you're doing the opposite of what they expect. And that's what's actually breaking them. Today in this video, we're breaking down exactly what your avoidant ex expects from you and why not giving it to them is exactly what you need to be doing if you want them back. So let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Coach Jeff Campbell, and I'm glad you're here with me. First, let's talk about what avoidants actually expect from you after the breakup. When they ended things with you, they didn't actually think it was going to be final and that they'd never see or hear from you again. Here's their internal script. They dump you. You reach out. You beg. You plead. You desperately try and convince them why this relationship is worth another shot. And when you do that, they feel validation that they matter. You see, avoidants don't really believe that they're lovable. They have a deep core wound that dramatically lowers their self-esteem. And ultimately, whether fearful or dismissive, they carry a core belief that they cannot be emotionally vulnerable with people or they'll get hurt. And fearful avoidants have a core wound of abandonment, so they will often be the one to leave the relationship because then they are at least in control of how it ends. But no matter which type of avoidant we're talking about here, they always leave because it helps them to feel protected. But then, after a period of relief, they do need that reassurance from you that they are still worthy, that they're still valuable, that you still want them. And your pursuit, your begging, your pleading, your chasing confirms all of that for them. And without that proof, it confirms their worst fear, that they are not lovable, that they are not worthy, and that you couldn't care less if they ever came back. For fearful avoidance, this expectation is really urgent. For dismissive avoidance, though, it's a lot more subtle. But both are waiting for you to chase. Here's what you need to know. Giving them what they expect is the worst possible thing that you could do if you want them back. When you chase them, you confirm for them that they have power over you. You show them that they can push you away and you'll still come back. And more importantly, there are no consequences for them for dumping you because you're just out there waiting for them. And that allows them to sit comfortably for quite a while before feeling the need to take any sort of action because they're not really afraid of losing you. And this does not create closeness. It does not create a bond or emotional intimacy. It just creates a repeating cycle. They push, you chase. They pull back, you chase even harder. But nothing actually changes. So if your goal is to get them back in a healthier way and to have the best possible relationship with them after they come back, chasing is absolutely the worst thing that you could do. When you chase them, you train them that they can hurt you and that you'll still come back for more. And they believe that their avoidant tendencies, even if they don't know that term, are strong enough to control you. And most importantly, they believe that they do not have to change in order to get you back. And none of those lead to a successful relationship. They just lead to more of the same over and over and over again until you wise up. If you want to better understand the psychology behind why chasing and avoidant always backfires and what you should do instead, I've created a free PDF guide called The 7 Psychological Triggers That Make an Ex Regret Losing You. And you can get it for free with the link down in the description or on this card right over here. And at that same link, you can also get information about my one-on-one coaching program. Now let's talk about why your avoidant ex needs you to keep trying. Control is safety for an avoidant, and if they can predict your actions, that gives them a great sense of relief. They know that you'll chase. They've trained you to chase because every time they pulled away before, you came chasing after them. And when they finally dump you, they expect that pattern to continue. And in that pursuit, they'll not only get the attention and validation from you that they crave, but it will confirm for them that they still have control over you. And they get reassurance that you won't actually leave. Even though they're the ones who left, you're proving to them that you're still available and that all they have to do is snap their fingers to get you back. They want this, but not consciously. The same way the body wants food without you necessarily having to think about it. It's a need. It's a requirement. and it's how their brain is hardwired. But, and this is critical, getting what they want doesn't help you. It only helps both of you stay stuck. And that's because they know you're out there. If they know you're waiting, then there's no real sense of urgency on their part required in order to get you back. There's no danger of permanently losing you as long as you're just sitting there waiting to hear from them. I break down exactly when avoidants begin to crack in no contact in something that I created called the No Contact Blueprint for Avoidant Exes. It's both written content as well as custom videos you won't find anywhere else. And I highly encourage you to check it out now with the link down in the description or on this card right over here. Now let's talk about how avoidants interpret your silence. Your silence is devastating to their narrative, but they really don't think you have it in you to stay silent for very long. But when you do, when you go and stay in no contact indefinitely, it creates 4 things with your avoidant. 1 is it makes them feel as if you didn't care as much about them as they thought that you did, and that creates deep feelings of shame. 2, it might mean that you've moved on and you're in a new relationship and that you couldn't care less about them and that you wouldn't come back even if they begged you to. This triggers their replacement anxiety. 3, it might mean that you're actually done and you're no longer willing to put up with their toxic behavior, and this triggers their abandonment wound. And 4, it means that you're stronger than they thought you were, and this triggers their feelings of inadequacy. And none of these feel good. All of them create internal chaos in the mind of your avoidant ex. For fearful avoidants, as you might expect, this creates panic. For dismissive avoidants, it creates confusion. But either way, your silence forces them to face themselves, and that's exactly why no contact works. Now let's talk about why your avoidant ex needs you to react emotionally. Avoidants are moved by emotion, even though they fear emotional intimacy. So it's not because they want emotional closeness, it's because emotion proves impact. If you're upset, they affected you. If you're reaching out, they matter. Emotion from you is evidence that they are significant. And without an emotional reaction from you, they feel alone and irrelevant. And this is why avoidants create drama after the breakup, because any response from you is better than no response. And this is why they might trash talk you to mutual friends. Maybe they exaggerate or outright fabricate reasons to justify dumping you, and they're telling that to everybody. But you staying in no contact, no matter what they say or do, does not give them the satisfaction of getting the emotional response from you that they want. And that's why not reacting, not reaching out, not contacting them in any way actually is what gives you your power. Your silence is the only thing that can actually force change with them. While your avoidant ex may come back, and while you should be going and staying in no contact, I don't want you just sitting around waiting to see if or when you hear from them. So if you're sitting there stuck, phone in hand, checking to see if you have a missed call or a missed text, you're replaying all the conversations over and over and over again in your head, it can totally take over your whole day. And sometimes you get to the point where another YouTube video like mine just doesn't help. And that's why I've partnered with BetterHelp, the leading provider of online therapy. Many people in my community have asked me for what they can do to help themselves. And some of those people do indeed turn to my one-on-one coaching. But sometimes you need something more than that. Maybe something ongoing, or maybe something that takes insurance. So if you check the link that's down in the description or on this card right over here, you'll be directed to their website where you'll answer just a few simple questions that will get you matched for the perfect therapist for you and your situation. All right, let's get back to the video. Now let's talk about what happens when your avoidant ex's expectations of you don't get met. When you go no contact and you stay that way for weeks or months, you completely break their expectation. They told themselves that they pushed you away, but that you were never really gone and that you would be back. But you're not chasing, so now they actually have to face that you might be totally done. And this forced self-reflection is incredibly painful for the avoidant, but it's also the only thing that can actually bring about real change. And by refusing to change, you remove the only escape hatch that they could depend upon. For fearful avoidants, this forces emotional processing. Remember, the fearful avoidant switches to more of an anxious attachment style when their primary partner, that's you in this case, pulls away. Now, I know they dumped you, but when they dump you and you go into no contact and you stay that way, it triggers their abandonment wound. For dismissive avoidance, this forces deep self-reflection. But either way, it's the exact opposite of what they really want. And that opposite reaction is what makes it so powerful. Breaking no contact right now would be a massive mistake because the moment you reach out, it confirms for them that you were never really gone and that you will be back. And you've just reset the entire timeline of getting them to come back. And now there's no real urgency for them to repair things because they don't think you're really gone. Now let's talk about why understanding your avoidant ex's motivations actually changes everything. Knowing what avoidants want and deliberately not giving it to them gives you the power. They'll reach out with breadcrumbs, but not because they're ready for reconciliation. They're just testing to see if the door is still open. They'll try and trigger an emotional response. Maybe they'll even try and start an argument because an emotional response from you confirms that you still care. But they're not ready to get back together again with you. They just want that emotional proof that you still care. And when you understand their motivations, you can make intelligent choices about how or if you respond to their breadcrumbs or reach outs. And here's the counterintuitive part. This is actually the only way to actually get them back. Not by giving them what they want, but by refusing to. Refusing to chase forces them to confront their own patterns, and avoidants are hardwired to avoid that as long as possible. But confronting their patterns is where the real change actually begins for them. If this is helping you to understand avoidance psychology, the no contact rule, and what you should be doing, give me a thumbs up and then destroy that subscribe button too. Now let's talk about what avoidants actually need. Truth be told, deep down inside, avoidants don't want chasing. They want growth and healing. But they can't say that out loud. They can't ask for that. And they can't even really admit that to themselves because that would be admitting that they have a problem. So instead, they act out the script that they've been running for years. And that's why they expect you to chase. And that's why you not chasing and not giving them what they want actually is the only thing that can cause them to grow. Your strength, your boundaries, your ability to walk away and mean it. That's what might make them actually look at their own patterns. But the sad reality here is that most avoidants won't really do the work. They want what's easy. And easy is not admitting they have a problem and trying to fix it. They'll just find somebody new and go through this same pattern all over again. So don't break no contact thinking that it's going to make them want you more. It won't. But also don't just be sitting around waiting to see if or when you hear from them. Move on with your life. Craft an amazing life for yourself. And if they eventually want to join you in that amazing life, you'll give them a shot. And if they don't, you'll find somebody who does. If you're just getting started learning about the no contact rule, avoidant exes, what you should be doing or not doing, I've created a custom playlist of my videos right over here called Start Here if you want your avoidant ex back. And I highly encourage you to check it out now.